All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's press conference. We will be taking questions for head coach Frank Reich in the same way we have for the past 2 weeks. Please use the raise hand function on Zoom, and we will get to your questions as they come in. Just a quick note that our players will be going tomorrow at the exact same time as right now, 11 o'clock on Zoom. If you do not have that link, please let us know. Kyle from KSL, please start us off.
Hi, Frank. What were your impressions of Bear Bachmeier during spring practices, and has BYU utilized him through the first game the way that you kind of saw him operating in spring ball?
Yeah, my impressions of him were very positive. And yeah, just from looking at the film and watching the game, some of it on television, he's an explosive athlete, has a strong arm, is a threat to run the ball. So kind of figured that having a little bit of that QB run game would be in there with him, and he's got an explosive arm as well.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Were you surprised that he won BYU's starting job?
No, wasn't surprised. Wasn't surprised. I mean, he's a talented guy.
Thank you, Kyle. Dylan?
So does the familiarity that you have with the Bach Myers, especially Bear, does that help with game planning at all this week and give you guys an advantage at all?
I really don't think so. Someone here, we were talking about that earlier, but we were both ways, on what we know about Bear and Tiger, and but on what they know about us. And listen, my experience with that kind of thing is that it usually gets overrated. So I'm not particularly worried about, what they're telling them about what we do, because honestly, we've changed a good bit from when they were here as well. And they run a different scheme than we run. And so I think right now we're early in the season. I think both teams are focused on our players and what we do, more than anything else.
Thank you, Dylan. John?
Yeah, levering off what you just said about their scheme being different, Coach, it seems there's a lot going on at the mesh point with that offense. I mean, they've got jet motion, they've got orbit motion, they've got a lot going on there at that mesh point. Describe the BYU offense for Stanford fans.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have not looked as much at their offense, more when I was just watching the game live, because of when it was on and we were able to watch it live. But obviously, as the offensive coach, I've been focused more on their defense. But no, they're gonna obviously a dynamic run game, and like you said, with the quarterback being involved in the run game and the play pass and getting him on the move, he's a good athlete, so you're going to get him on the move and got a lot of stuff, a lot of action going on. So certainly respect. Really, this is a very well coached team. You can see that they're a good football team. Their schemes are very sound. Defensively, I feel like I'm watching an NFL defense with everything they do. I mean, they do a little bit of everything. They're multiple in every way. Their pressure package is quite sophisticated. A lot of stuff you see at the NFL level, and they do a good job of executing it.
Thank you, John. Ben?
Yeah, I just kind of want to get your thoughts on what your message is to Ben Goldbranson going into this week. He had a rough outing week 0 against Hawaii. Just kind of what's your message going into this week, and also just kind of the quarterbacks as a whole. In case Goldbranson has a rough outing, is there any chance you guys might make a switch? Just talk about kind of your message to Goldbranson and the quarterback room as a whole heading into this week 2 matchup.
Yeah, our message to the whole team is we just need to play good football. As heartbreaking as any loss is, but certainly a week 1 loss after a whole off season of working hard and all the anticipation and excitement around what we were doing and how we were feeling, and then for it not to go well, we got to learn from that, and we got to move on, and we got to stay the course. So that's really the message, not only to Ben, but that's the message to the whole team. Stay the course. And we've worked hard. The players and coaches, we worked very hard over the last 6 months to install the schemes that we have, to tweak things and mesh things around what we believe our players do best. So continue to believe in what we're doing, continue to believe in yourself, and we just have to focus on executing our schemes.
John?
playing at BYU, 60,000 plus, a noisy place. I know as an NFL guy, he went to places like Seattle and there were some domes and whatnot, but that coupled with a bit of altitude, what's your sort of coaching approach on those factors as you go into the game on Saturday?
Yeah, we prepare for it, right? I mean, we've been obviously having the bye week. We've had a few extra practices. We've been practicing in the noise. We know that it'll be a tough crowd there. We anticipate the noise. That'll be important for us to keep our poise. I think I believe our guys will do a good job with it. The way we've been practicing it with it in practice has been good so far. And as far as altitude, and listen, I'm not saying it's not real. Played in altitude, coached in altitude, more than a couple times, and you just can't worry. These guys are in shape. I don't find it to normally be a factor. You get there, by the time game time, you're not even thinking about it. So we just focus on, again, the message continues to be, hey, focus on what we're doing. We'll try to rotate guys anyway. We wanted to do that last week. I think we did a good job of rotating through guys last week. We'll do the same thing this week.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, Frank, you mentioned you'd seen BYU's defense and seems fairly sophisticated. Who are maybe one, two, or three guys from that defense, either watching it live or watching now some video, who really jump off the page, so to speak, for you?
Well, I'll just talk more in units. I mean, right? I mean, they have very good front seven. I mean, they obviously a defensive line has been very stout. Now they have a fair amount of turnover. I think they're only returning 3 or 4 starters from last year, and last year's unit was really good. Especially, most of the film we have is from last year. So, and then in one game that it had, obviously it was a pretty lopsided score. So you only get a certain amount of value out of that tape. So we're really still looking off last year. So listen, they're tough up front. They're going to play odd front. They're going to play some even front. They do it all. And they use their guys well. And they mix up what they're doing. So, we just have to have a sound package. Always, when you're going on the road in an environment like this, one of the keys will be you got to stay out of 3rd and long in games like this, and we got to protect the football. We got to be able to be effective on 1st and 2nd down. We got to be effective on 1st and 2nd down to kind of neutralize the crowd and to neutralize the schemes that they have. And that's the other thing about what they do. I mean, they mix it up. I mean, sometimes, teams that are have complex blitzes, a lot of times you don't see those until 3rd down in the NFL because everybody wants to kind of play sound stuff on 1st and 2nd down. But this team, they'll pressure on 1st and 2nd down with stuff that you might not typically see until 3rd down. So it presents a unique challenge like that. But it's also, we always look at blitz as being an opportunity. As a quarterback, I always look at it as an opportunity. So, we'll prepare. I think we're doing a good job preparing. I think the coaches have done a good job preparing for the different things we could see, and excited about the opportunity.
Thank you, Kyle.
Frank, were you able to make any connections with the BYU program or players, alumni, other coaches during your time as an NFL player or an NFL head coach? And if not, I guess just what are your overall impressions of BYU from afar?
A great respect for the play. I've had interactions. Don't ask me to start naming, but I know over my career, I've had coached a number of guys and coached against many of them. Obviously, as a quarterback, have respected over the years what they've done offensively. And now in recent years, just kind of getting in that Utah mode, that defensive scheme that they're running, it's really good. So this is a good football program. And I think they do it right. They do a good job, recruiting the players that they have that fit their schemes. So we have a lot of respect for them.
Thank you, Kyle. Ben?
Yeah, the program you're coaching, Stanford, as you always last 4 seasons have been kind of rough. 4 straight 3-9 seasons, and A lot of times for teams that are coming out of a funk like that, the biggest part is the mental side, just finishing games and overcoming that hurdle. When you've lost so many games, you can kind of develop kind of bad habits. Just talk about what are you kind of doing as a coaching staff to kind of help the team mentally kind of overcome maybe some kind of miscues they had in the past so that they can mentally kind of finish games, if that makes sense, and clear that hurdle. Because once teams do that, they can start to kind of gain some mo, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense, and it's a good observation. And certainly there is attention uh, and talk around that idea, not about the past, but just just believing in what we're in who we are and what we're doing. And because I do think that it does breed confidence. So we have to get over the hurdle. This week is another opportunity for that. Going up against a good team in a hostile environment. Our guys are excited. I mean, when you lose a tough game, an opener like that, it seems like it's taken forever for this game to get here. So I think our guys are excited about it. I think our focus is on, again, us playing good football. And we know if we play good football, we can compete against anybody.
Thank you, John.
Levering off that last answer, you just mentioned competing, and I know that's close to your heart about teaching these young men to compete. And in game one, I particularly noticed it with the front. I mean, the defensive line and a linebacker or two. Are there units that so far have stood out to you as far as competing, as you've maybe watched practice the last few days, and more generally, how are you assessing that? Because I know you want to leave these guys sort of week to week with competing is the whole thing, man.
No, it really is. And I do think as a group, as a team, I think we've played very hard in week one. I think we're practicing very hard. I mean, we're evaluating and grading the tape every day in practice as far as effort is concerned. As far as the two things that we're grading every day are, is there relentless effort and are we dominating the details? And those are big deals to us. And we're holding people accountable to those standards every single day. And so our players have embraced that. I believe we're seeing that. And that's why I believe that's the formula for getting better every day. And as the season goes on, us becoming a better and better football team.
Steve?
Yeah, Frank, last week you'd mentioned you weren't going to be too specific about your injured players to give them last week to see how they're progressing. Now you've had last week. What's your prognosis for, the DBs particular, anybody else who was questionable last week? What's their status on Monday heading into Saturday at BYU?
Yeah, they've continued to make good progress. They've continued to make good progress. Obviously we're not practicing yesterday or today, so we're not not getting a sense yet. But yeah, I won't say a whole lot more about it other than they've continued to make good progress.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Kyle?
Frank, what would you say after looking back and having a week now to separate you from that first game in week 0? What would you say are the strengths of your offense and of your defense?
I think on offense, obviously we ran the football well. I think we need to be better there, and I think we will be. I think we left some yards on the field. And I thought we did a good job of protecting the football. We had the one turnover, but overall, I thought the ball security was good. Obviously, we have to make a whole lot of improvement on the pass game, but I think up front, running the football, blocking, I think there were some good signs. And then defensively, I was really encouraged with how we played the pass. We knew Hawaii was a pass first team, and you just don't really know until you get in a game. And I was really happy with how even though we were banged up in the secondary, I was really happy with how we covered, how we played coverage. And then we still had 4 sacks, and they're a team that gets the ball out quick. They were a team that got the ball out quick. We were still able to get 4 sacks, still able to hold them to 5 yards an attempt, 5+ yards, 5 point something an attempt. So I think that was the strength in week 1.
Thank you. Ben?
You got a lot of veteran guys up front on the defensive line, guys like Clay Patterson, Anthony Franklin, Braden Marsa Olayinka. Just talk about kind kind of the strength of that unit and what you guys need to do to continue to get the most out of that unit with respect to pass rush, TFLs, et cetera.
Yeah, I think those guys mesh well together. I think Coach K does a great job with those guys. I think that room is really super tight. You know, and I think we got a lot of confidence in those players, the ones that you're saying, all those guys you're saying, and the guys that are coming in off the, guys that rotate in off the bench. So obviously Clay's had a couple big sacks. We need to continue to see that and put pressure on the quarterback. But and then we need to be able to mix it up with pressures as well, and get those linebackers involved in that front seven. And excited to be able to continue to be multiple in what we're doing defensively as well, and put the players in great position to make plays.
Thank you, Ben. Any other questions for Coach? All right, thank you so much. We hope to see you at tomorrow.